Hi guys, Joel here, and today we're going to be doing a how-to on a fuel injection conversion on this 1970 convertible Chevelle. It has got a slightly cammed 350 with a standard 4-barrel Edelbrock carburetor on it and factory air conditioning. It's a really nice car, and so it deserves some upgrades. So what we decided to go with, which technology has really come a long ways to make this swap a little bit easier, we decided to go with the FiTech Easy Street. Comes with some instructions, the wiring harness in the box, as well as the nice looking fuel injection unit itself. So we'll dig a little bit more detail when we go to install it. I'll talk about some of the features of it and how straightforward it is to put on and calibrate. So it's a self-tuning unit, which is nice because with just some basic settings you can get it close to where everything is going to idle and work correctly. And then from there, via the feedback from the oxygen sensor, it'll tune for the ideal ratio. So we'll get that bolted on. One of the more difficult parts of these swaps, or at least has been, is what to do about the fuel pump. And I am generally not a fan of the inline exterior fuel pumps. The factory fuel pumps that they put in modern vehicles these days are quiet, they work really well, and they're submerged inside the tank. So we decided to go that route. This unit right here is meant to go into a fuel injection tank conversion. So we have already gone ahead and done some prep work and removed the factory fuel pump, so it's out of there, and we have also gone ahead and pulled the fuel tank. So upgrading the whole fuel tank with a direct bolt-in unit that accepts the larger in-tank fuel module. So that should work pretty well. These systems need approximately 50 psi. Don't quote me on that. I haven't read the exact number recently, so I'm just pulling that out of my memory. So make sure that if you're going to do this conversion yourself, you take the time to read the instruction manual. They're very detailed, and go from there. So anyway, we're going to go ahead and get that carburetor pulled off of there, get the new unit bolted back on, and start running the wiring and hooking it all up. So here we are under the Chevelle, and we have positioned the oxygen sensor. This is what they send with the kit. You can see it's just a oxygen sensor and then a weld-on or clamp-on bung. So we're going to weld it in because then it will be maintained that it won't have any leaks. But that guy just goes right in there, just like so. And if you take a look here, there's the connector that we're routing down, and then we also have added in, there's some of that conduit, the fuel pump power wire. So we'll come back here to the back, and you can see the factory hoses. This one already has a return line, which is nice. You're going to have to add a return line if you don't already have one. So we're going to take those old hoses off and get ready to install our new tank. So here's the FiTech installed on the manifold and everything kind of terminated. So got our throttle linkage hooked up, got our wiring harness tied in. That one is going into the cab for the control unit programming screen. Had a wire right here that went down to can't really see it down there, but the coolant temp sensor that we screwed into the cylinder head. And for our plumbing, we just tied the fuel and the return lines, came down over here, mounted a high pressure filter right directly on the fender well, and then snaked those around down into the return lines. Now, one criticism I have of the FiTech unit is I don't really like the inline fuses. I would have rather seen a fuse block mounted on the fender well or something like that, instead of having them just kind of hanging out there. But other than that, the installation so far has gone very smoothly. We did have to manufacture a little conversion stud for the air cleaner. 5/16 goes into the throttle body, and a quarter is for our existing wing nut. And then also had to just run a small air cleaner spacer to clean everything up so that it all clears. So anyway, now only thing that is left for us besides the programming is the fuel tank. So we'll come back here and I'll give you a tour of the fuel tank. This is the fuel injection conversion tank. You can see we've got the sending unit mounted in there with the feed and the return. There's our wiring harness, and it is a factory tank that fits the Chevelle as compared to the old crusty one that was the stock unit. So it's exact same capacity, it just has the integrated high pressure fuel pump built right into it. So anyway, we'll go ahead and get the car up in the air and put this tank in and get it all plumbed up. So the tank is in. I'll show you guys the lines. Hopefully we can get over here. There you can see. Got a little bit of heat wrap on those lines after we installed them, just to try to keep any heat from that exhaust. I don't think it's going to be a problem because we're this so far back in the exhaust, but then around a ground strap right over to there, the old existing one, tap that hole out, clean the paint off, so everything is grounded, heat wrapped, ready to go. So now the next step is going to be to calibrate and do the initial fire up.